Good morning, all my Magic 12 people out there. If you're not aware, we are on Chapter 7 of Psycho-Cybernetics. And Chapter 7 is Winning the Battle with Your Consciousness. And we're going to be starting back on Chapter 4, which is Search for Self-Respect or Failure. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started and start reading from section number 4, Search for Self-Respect or Failure. This is usually a conflict between your success and your failure instincts. The conflict between sense of direction or goal and no direction or frustration. The conflict between understanding leading to respectful relations between people and misunderstanding leading to failures in communication between people. The conflict between self-acceptance leading upward and self-denial leading downward. The conflict between fulfillment and emptiness. Between self-esteem and between love and resentment. Always we are searching for one or for the other. For we are complex people. We have two sides or more to us. We are Siamese twins, locked together, and in a sense, maturity means we have gained the capacity to be our own plastic surgeon and skillfully separate these twins. We are capable of self-respect and of failure. We are on a seesaw rotating back and forth, and it is up to us to give the greater weight to self-respect and to conditions in our lives that will gain for us increased self-respect. I'll be right back. I forgot my TV was on, so I had to go shut it off. You must have a real confrontation with your consciousness. You must use your consciousness as your ally, not as your enemy. In your search for self-respect, win out by first winning your battle with your consciousness and making it a friend. How? Let me tell you a story. It's about a woman I shall call Miss Molly. A small woman in her early 60s, a widow whose consciousness told her that in her station in life and at her age, it was proper for her to stay at home and read a book or knit something. She should not, according to her consciousness, reinforced by the options of her daughter, walk around everywhere in the outside world, talking to people and looking about her at all the curious features of life. Then she met a man who talked to her in a companionable way and trying to lift her spirits suggested that she should buy a new hat. She hadn't done this for a long time. The idea almost frightened her, but she went ahead toward her goal. That is, she went to a hat shop. In the hat shop, however, she got discouraged when she tried a hat on and looked in the mirror. The hat and her face simply did not go together. Her face, she decided sadly, was too old for the hat. But back home, an idea came to her. The idea took hold of her and frightened her. No, her consciousness started to tell her this idea was impossible. But once again, she silenced a consciousness that really was unreasonable and asked herself, why not? Why not get her face lifted? She examined her face in the bathroom mirror of her apartment, sagging cheeks and heavy folds of wrinkles around her eyes. Perhaps a plastic surgeon could help her. She would check it out. And so, overcoming the prohibitions of her consciousness, Miss Molly A. came to visit me in my office, and we became good buddies. After the operation, her face had a newfound beauty. With her ability to direct herself towards such a well-motivated goal, Miss Molly A. felt a new sense of self-satisfaction and even seemed to be considering the also new idea of marriage with a man who had inspired her. This is an interesting story because it shows how a person can insist on goals and esteem and fulfillment and overcome the tyranny of your consciousness. Number 5, cooperation or non-cooperation with your self-image. You may or may not be an architect, but you have a blueprint of the person you believe you are or which you want to be. Still, how do you work with this blueprint? What do you do with it? Do you cooperate with your self-image, or do you refuse to cooperate with it? Do you even disrupt it? As I have elaborated in a number of my books, your self-image is your guiding star. It is your self-image which in large measure drives you on to success or drags you down to failure. It is your self-image, your concept of yourself, your feeling about your worth, that determines in large measure your feeling toward other people and their feeling toward you. No goal is more worthwhile than building up this image of yourself. No more inspiring goal do I know than strengthening this conception of yourself. But to repeat, do you cooperate with your self-image? Or is your policy one of non-cooperation? You should ask yourself this question every day when you wake up, and then you should make it your goal for that day. And for every day to cooperate with your self-image. What does this have to do with consciousness? Well, in a way, your self-image is your consciousness. When your self-image is strong and you feel happy and successful, does your consciousness nag you? Or does your consciousness bother you generally when your self-image is weak and you feel revulsion toward yourself? So every day work to cooperate with your self-image and you will find you are winning your battle over your self-image, self-defeating consciousness. Number 6, imagination plus versus imagination minus. How sharp is this distinction between imagination plus and imagination minus? Imagination plus. You think creatively. You plot your goals. You envision bright prospects and ways to make these prospects reality. You see in your mind ways to improve your life and the lives of those whom you love. Your direction is forward and your feeling is constructive. And you value your great power of imagination. Understanding it is a great gift which God has bestowed on you. Imagination minus. When you see yourself in your mind, you cannot stand the sight of yourself. The misuse consciousness repeatedly to block yourself from your goals. Your consciousness bothers you anytime you might achieve a success or feel happy or see a bright picture of the future. Thus, you feel apprehensive. Your mind buzzes with anxiety, and you obsess yourself with your past mistakes and failures. Do yourself a favor and make it a daily goal to work toward imagination plus. Make your self-image a productive image and envision inspiring, realistic goals. No matter how small these goals may be, concentrate on the great goal that is common to all mankind, the desire to live and to be happy. Then go after it your own way. Number 7, enterprise plus versus enterprise minus. Here, we carry imagination into action, into enterprise. But what kind of enterprise? Enterprise plus or enterprise minus? Enterprise plus, how you value your time. You use it so well. You make every minute of the day count. You do not pass the time or kill time. You are aware of the great value of time, and you give it to the goals that are meaningful to you, to people who are meaningful to you. You take action to help yourself, and you are also enterprising when it comes to helping your human brothers and sisters. You cram your days full of good deeds. You put your full weight into everything you do. Enterprise minus. Your life is an exercise in the passivity and nothingness, and you continually find excuses for keeping it this way. For one thing, your consciousness seems to bother you all the time, or much of the time. Your consciousness rules you. No matter what you do, you feel guilty, so naturally you do nothing. If you are an enterprise minus person, you must learn to change. People do change, sometimes, even at the age of 68, like a man I'll call Mr. H. At 68, Mr. H was a strictly enterprise minus individual. His daily routine was rightly set and absolutely monotonous. Up early in the morning, like breakfast, morning, newspaper, and clear cigar purchases, then to his favorite park bench to read his paper and smoke a cigar. Lunch at noon for Mr. H, then back to his hotel room for a nap. Later on in the afternoon, back to the park for some more time on the bench. Then back to the hotel to freshen up. Then dinner. His evening followed a similar boring, regulated pattern. On his 68th birthday, Mr. H celebrated by following his usual routine from the usual breakfast to the usual newspaper and cigar to the usual park bench. But there was one change, and this change skyrocketed Mr. H from the world of the Enterprise Minus to the world of the Enterprise Plus. Mr. H became the owner of a puppy. It was all sheer accident. He met a down and out looking man on a street corner, gave him $1 out of sympathy, and found that the man running away had left him with a puppy. What could he do? Mr. H looked at the puppy, and the puppy looked at him. The little dog looked hungry. Mr. H took him to his favorite lunchroom and bought him a hamburger. The puppy wolfed it down as if he hadn't eaten for days. Probably he hadn't. Truly, it was an absurd puppy. Its ancestry seemed to be dachshund, sheepdog, a terrierdale, and bulldog. A funny-looking dog, indeed. But he attached himself warmly to Mr. H, and so Mr. H was, to his surprise, a dog owner. He named the dog after the middle name of his favorite American author, Fenimore. And with the acquisition of Fenimore, change after change came into Mr. H's life. First, he moved from his hotel room. Pets were not allowed and ventured forth into a double room with a kitchenette in a rooming house. Then he found himself talking to people in the streets, people who were attracted by Fenimore's peculiar charms. People could not help laughing at Fenimore, who was such a friendly, funny-looking little dog. A group of young boys had a baseball team, and they asked Mr. H if the little dog could be their mascot. Of course, the pup would have to come to every baseball game, and their schedule called for a game every day for the next month, and perhaps all summer. Mr. H thought it over. He would miss the dog's company. He was beginning to like him, but then a new idea came to him. He would attend the games with his dog. And so at 86, Mr. H found himself on the move. An enterprising young man in his retirement years, growing younger every day. The changes grew even more surprisingly. Fenimore, as mascot, was active, and Mr. H felt he wanted to be active too. He began umpiring the boys' baseball games. He was an expert umpire. And then came love. He had been married. His wife had died 3 years earlier, and he had never expected to remarry. It seemed safe to assume, but now he was counting a widow, a very charming woman in her early 60s. a small woman whom he advised to buy a hat to cheer him up, but who had been discouraged by the sight of her sagging, wrinkled face in a mirror. Winning a victory over negative forces in herself, this woman was enthusiastic over the improvements made in her appearance. That's right, Mr. H was now seeing Miss Molly A, about whom I had just written. And the question was now, was marriage in the air? Quite a story, and an amazing change from Enterprise minus to Enterprise plus. What is my point? Certainly not that you should rush right out and buy yourself a dog. Even the thought, the little dog did Mr. H a world of good. My point is this: change is always possible, even at 68. And you should always strive to improve yourself, to become more enterprising, to reach out toward Enterprise Plus. Your consciousness may hold you back. Don't let it. You may remind yourself that you're a rather worthless person, really, that you have spent your life making mistakes for which you deserve punishment, and that punishment is to have to endure more years suffering under the tyranny of your ruthless consciousness. Hello, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing very good.
That's good. I got to change my name. I don't know why this won't change my name permanently.
Oh, well, I think it's the computer. The computer runs on a scientific something or another.
Yeah.
And it says, I want to do this, and I'm not going to let you change it.
Got a mind of its own, I tell you.
Mind of its own, yeah. So how you been?
I'm good. I hope you are too.
Oh, yeah. I'm just getting more excited every day, really.
Well, I was talking to my son last night. He wants me to come down there again in March. And I was telling him about United. I said, I got to sit down and talk with you guys. But he said to me, he says, the gift cards sound good, but they don't pay anything. And the other stuff sounds like Amway, where you got to buy the product to make any money. I said, well, that's going to be the way with everything.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Well, the only thing that I've been doing here, and I've only talked to one person so far, came over yesterday, and that is I told him straightforward. I said, I have my 12 people, so guess what? I'm building straight down.
Mm-hmm.
And if I put somebody under you and they do $100 and you do nothing, that person comes up to me, and I hate to see you lose any money that way. And not only that, Reverend Dave, my sponsor, has his 12, and he's building down.
Mm-hmm.
And if we continue this, we go up to Steve Dixon. He's got 150 in his front line, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's not the way to go. I want to start building down. And so then I will tell them, I say, look, it's been a known fact that somewhere between the second and third year of any company, if they're still around, start to move on that so-called upward trend.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's like riding a train to heaven. If you're on it, you're going to love every minute of it. And if you're not, 5-10 years down the road, you're going to say, like when Amway first started, you're going to say, oh my God, I wish I'd have been on that train.
True. It's true.
And so my goal, like I was telling you before, I did 35 points this month. I will definitely try to increase that, but if that's all I can afford to do, then that's what I'll do. And at some point, if I can add more to it, then I'm going to do it.
Well, I'm praying that they make it more easy to buy products that are affordable and a little more, everyday use. I mean, some of the stuff is really like the Bango. Okay, I agree with you. I got a case of that. And Doug was here with his girlfriend last night, and I gave them some. Uh, Melissa's boyfriend lives here, and he was drinking some. So, I don't mind doing that. That'll be good for me.
Yeah.
Need to get them motivated enough to start buying like gift cards for the movies, and I don't know if they use iTunes, but stuff like that. And I need to sit and talk with them and motivate them to do that, because that's something anyway.
Absolutely.
But the products, like I get the skincare products, but you're not going to buy those every single month. I mean, they're expensive, and it takes more than a month to use a little tube of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I wish there would be, more general merchandise, stuff that you really use and is affordable and that you buy anyway.
Right.
I mean, they're talking about buying stuff you buy anyway. Well, yeah, that was true when they had the retailers, but that's not true now. And I think that that's, to me, false advertising, because you're not going to be buying that stuff anyway. It's too expensive. You wouldn't buy it as a normal thing. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they come to their senses and realize that.
Yeah, and I'm positive that Dr. Nico is going to be hearing this from Steve Dixon, because I know Steve Dixon and Mike Popovich are very close in terms of being close to Dr. Nico.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the things that we talk about and do and say, that information is going, directly to Dr. Nico. And Dr. Nico, he's not a quitter, so I know that much. He's not going to quit, and he's going to work very diligently to improve not only the platform, but the products and the whole bit. Considering the fact that it's only just a little over 2 years old, I quite frankly think they're doing very well.
Yeah.
I've seen companies in the first couple years, you'd like to just take out a gun and shoot them because they make mistakes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Nico is at least, he's a multimillionaire, and he's familiar with mistakes, and he knows he's going to make some, because not everything is going to work the way he thinks it does. But if it doesn't work, I think he's already shown if it doesn't work, he's going to throw it out, and he'll find what does work.
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to be a lot of products that will open up in the near future. The one thing that I do really, really like is the fact that you can go to a company and have them join the platform, and then there's a place back there in the back office where they could sign up and have whatever they're doing added to our platform.
Mm.
And I've talked to two now. One is really pretty big. So I learned from insurance. That could be 6 months, maybe a year before I can convince them that they should get on our platform. But here's the beauty. It doesn't make any difference how long it takes. If they get on that platform, my income will go right straight through the roof.
Yeah.
Because this particular company sells on the average of anywhere from $5 to $100 million of product every single year.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I don't, you take 1% of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, the doors are there. The opportunity is there. And, I saw something on TV that I might buy. It's a little expensive. It's about $40 or $50. And right now, I don't think you can get it through our platform. But it's just a clock. And all it says is never, ever, ever quit. So I'm thinking about buying it and hanging it in my house so it's there all the time. Because it really says what basically needs to be said.
Yeah.
I also know that, and I've been one who has been into the numbers. I've always been because I sold insurance, I've always been kind of a number cruncher. And it's interesting to me that within the multi-level business itself, it's a known fact that something like 75 to 80% of people who start in a multi-level business are out of it within 6 months.
Yeah.
And within 3 months after that, they're back into another one. Some of us, including myself, and might even be you too, if I go backwards through time, I probably have been with, God knows, 15, 20, 25 different multi-level businesses over the years.
Yeah.
And a few are still there, and many went out of business.
Yeah.
But
I think, because it's happened to me, and Reverend Dave knows it. He talked to this man. People are joining with the idea that you're going to get paid for buying stuff you buy anyway. And
right.
I don't think that's true anymore. And this guy, Warren, that Reverend Dave talked to, he said he doesn't have the money. True night, it doesn't cost any money to join. But to make any money, you have to spend a lot of money. And, spending $100 a month on stuff that you don't really buy anyway is just not going to work, because people are going to say, they're like you and me. They have a limited budget, and that budget's going to buy stuff, groceries and stuff. I was saying to, I might have even mentioned it the other night on the call. Boy, if they ever got the gift cards for like the gasoline, or started paying out money for those kind of purchases, you couldn't hold us back.
Yeah, and I really do think that's coming. I know, talking to Steve Dixon, and I can't say anything about it because it's, sometimes there are things that are in the works that you are aware of, but you can't really say anything about. But the gas thing, I think, is something that's coming, and it will be here in the very near future.
That would be great. And my son made a good point. He said, the gift cards are great. He said, but for every store or whatever you go to, you got to buy another gift card. I said, well, that works with the kids. The movie theaters, the iTunes, Starbucks. That all works with the kids. They're going to go and do that stuff anyway, so they'll buy a gift card.
Right.
He said, his, I guess it's his Gas Buddy card. Gas Buddy card. He said he can use anywhere, and he said it needs to be they have to have something like that where you buy a gift card that can be used anywhere. So, they have the restaurants. There were several restaurant chains where there's 4 or 5 restaurants on a card. Like Olive Garden, I think, has 4 or 5 on their card, that different restaurants that are in the chain.
Yeah.
Something like that would work. But yeah, it's early days, but I just don't see people joining and actually doing anything until they actually make it where you are going to be able to make money buying stuff you already buy.
Oh yeah.
And that's my soapbox of the day.
Yeah, and the irony of that is I do absolutely agree with what you're saying. Simply because, and I'm not going to cop out and say, well, we're new, because we are new, but things will change. But we do have to look for products and organizations that are going to jump in that pertain to things that we want. And a good example would be the gas card. Another good example would, for me anyway, would be Walmart. If they jump to 2 or 3%, then it might be worth me getting that card.
Yeah.
Okay. But I get a card anyway, only because where I live, that's basically the only place I ever shop. So I might as well get at least $1 back for shopping.
That's what I did. I got the $100 gift card and I went in there and I spent 70 something or 80 something. So, and I went to the customer service desk and I took my certificate because I knew that certificate was going to get lost in my pocketbook or lost at the house. So I went to the customer service desk and I said, can you put the balance of this gift card on a plastic card, a regular card? And they will do that. So every time, if I use it in the store, every time I go in there, I'll be able to just add to that card. So that's a good thing, where it'll just add up on the card, and I'll use it another time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing. Now, all I can say is I give you an example. I go to Walmart, and I've handed out, I don't know, over the last 30, 40 days, probably 15 to 25 of my business cards.
Mm.
And what I do is, how should I say it? Because I don't want to make it sound like, I'm an old fart, but hey, I'm an old fart. But in the store, I'll see some young lady, probably somewhere between 20 and 30 with a couple kids, and I look at their basket and I'm thinking, holy cow. I mean, they're spending $200, $300, $400.
Yeah.
And some of them are spending that much a week. Gosh. So the first thing I do is I hand them my card and I said, wouldn't you like to get a little money back on your purchases? Now, not only that, at least with Walmart, I did have one person, they never did sign up, but he got pretty excited when I walked in, and I walked to the back and I picked up something that I had ordered and walked out. And he saw me and he says, do you do that a lot? I said, I do it all the time. I said, just think, like the lady with the $400 worth of groceries. Wouldn't it be miraculous if she could just go to the back and have it all there?
Yeah.
Not have to go through that checkout line, not
Yeah.
have to do all that, waste all that time, just go in, pick up her products, and walk out the door. Well, this particular guy was real excited, but to my knowledge, he never signed up unless it was someone.
Like you were saying, if you were getting 3 or 4% from Walmart, even in $100 order, you'd make $3, $4 every time you bought $100. That's kind of an incentive for people to do something.
Right.
But $1, they're all going to say the same thing. Oh, it's only $1. And there was a really good call the other night. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Steve Dixon, but he went over the fact that the little dollar things add up. And as people on that first line, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
get other people below them, that $1 becomes pretty big. And I got all excited, and I had a revelation, because he showed if you have 10 people and those 10 people get 10 people, and over the next year or so get them all spending, in a year you could be making $25,000 a month.
I am on a webinar here, so Loretta just stepped in. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, the 10 people get 10 people, and those 10 people all, earn some money that you could be making in a year $25,000. And I had a revelation, and I was so filled with hope. And that's what I was trying to get across to my son last night, that it's not going to happen tomorrow, and I know that. But, we're all hard work. Cats jumping on everything. We're all hard workers. And, if we do this thing, and as you were saying, the upper echelon starts passing down people, well, we're going to be okay. We're going to do pretty well.
Yeah,
so I had a real revelation of that the other night.
Yeah, and that's what I think, especially with Reverend Dave and Steve Dixon and everybody that is going to do what they're going to be doing. And I also know that it appears to be very slow, because we're changing over to the new platform and a new website and all that. It's frustrating, but we just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But everything is going to, it's going to work out. There's no doubt in my mind. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead so that we can get into some reading here. We're on Chapter 7, Winning the Battle with Your Consciousness. And I just finished, let's see here. Yeah, I'm on number 7, Enterprise Plus versus Enterprise Minus. And I think we're almost finished with that one. So anyway, I'm going to continue reading from the book. Okay?
Okay.
Don't do this to yourself. Give yourself life, hope, and exciting enterprise. And that just happened to be the last sentence of number 7. All right, number 8, nucleus of faith or despair. Faith is a goal in the making. Despair is a goal you have forsaken. Faith is a movement towards self-fulfillment. Despair is a movement away from your goals to frustration. Faith is the flowing, kinetic pulse of life. Despair is the passive, apathetic retreat from life. In your person, you must consolidate the quantities that are you. You must choose to develop a nucleus of faith in yourself and to turn your back on the attitude that brings you inner death despair. Consciousness can play a role in this important choice. If your self-image is weak and you persist in disliking and undermining yourself, prohibitions from your consciousness will run roughshod over your positive drives, and you allow yourself neither peace of mind nor the refreshment of opportunity, neither the pursuit of goals nor the attainment of pleasure. Give your consciousness a positive role. Build faith in yourself and give credit to your consciousness. Let your good consciousness guide you without fear. In establishing a nucleus of faith in yourself, let your tolerant consciousness give you support in times of stress so that you can have faith in your ability to survive stress. Number 9, courage to win. We have already discussed the question of confrontation and the battle between the negative and the positive forces inside all of us. To win this battle, it almost goes without saying that you need courage. Courage on the battlefield is obvious, and everyone knows about this form of courage. Everyone knows that the infantryman charging forward through bullets, through minefields, through artillery shells towards his objective. Everyone knows about the medical aid man risking his life carrying wounded men back to safer areas where they may receive treatment. Everyone knows about the airplane pilot guiding his craft through heavy defended sky to areas where his mates can drop bombs and cripple the enemy. Everyone knows about the kind of winning courage. But what about that silent little seen form of courage that means fulfillment or frustration? What about the courage to win out over a tantalizing consciousness that says to you, you're no good because you're not perfect? What about the courage to win out over a critical consciousness that says to you, you should feel guilty because of what you did a few years ago? What about the courage to win out over an inhuman consciousness that says to you, you are unworthy because every day you make a mistake? To me, there is no greater courage than this, the courage to win out over your own negativity. Number 10, empathy. Getting along with your consciousness involves an empathy with all sides of yourself. In a way, this is a play on words, since the word empathy is generally used to indicate a fellow feeling for somebody else. Still, you have many sides in this sense. You are almost somebody else. And so I will take some liberties and use this word in this connection. In developing a fellow feeling for yourself, you adopt a humble attitude toward your shortcomings, but you do not reject yourself for them. And the biggest weapon against a stern and cruel consciousness, you learn to forgive yourself. You forgive yourself for your errors of commission and omission. You forgive yourself for the past, the present, and the future. You forgive your forgiveness is complete. You don't have to pretend you're someone else because you accept yourself as you are. This is real fellow feeling toward yourself. This is the way to live with your consciousness. This is the way to be a friend to yourself. Number A, or the last part of it, blueprint for better living. And so we have spelled out a blueprint for better living. Because in combating the disastrous effects of a stern and unjust consciousness, and in winning the battle against such a punishing consciousness, a person can attain for himself or herself new frontiers in the great exploratory search for inner peace of mind. And this, more than any house, more than any automobile, more than any stock on the stock market, will lead you to a quality of self-fulfillment that is increasingly uncommon in a world which seems to have forgotten many of the answers to questions of human happiness. Don't let your consciousness rule you. You rule your consciousness. Every day, work to build up your self-image. Every day, work to reactivate the functioning of your success mechanism. Every day, feel a new compassion for yourself and a new sense of self-respect. Then, as time passes, you will feel a new confidence. You will no longer fear your consciousness. This is a major step toward better. It is a major step toward achieving self-fulfillment. So I'm going to go ahead and close on that because next time we can start on chapter 8. I was hoping to see Reverend Dave come in, but I know he's usually busy and sometimes he has conflicts of interest, which is cool. He's working very hard for all of us, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. And
he and Mike are one of a kind.
Oh, yeah. I assume you're talking about Mike Pokovich.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get my YouTube channel, so I enjoy watching his program. And sometimes I don't always get on the program, but he puts it on YouTube so I can watch it anytime I want.
Yeah, I have a hard time in the evenings. It's pretty busy, most evenings. But, yeah, I'm glad everything is, like on YouTube, so I can watch that during the day.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to get my dish canceled. The only thing I ever watch is a Hallmark channel. And I mean, everything else I can get online. I can get, like the inspirational channels online. I don't have to have a TV to do that.
Yeah.
But Melissa was telling me I could use her, not her Fire Stick, her Amazon Prime account or something.
Oh, yeah, you can. Yep.
just buy a Fire Stick and I can get anything I want. So I'll probably do that.
Yeah, I haven't had Direct or Dish or any of those for over 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
So basically, I don't have TV, but I have YouTube and all the selections that come with Roku, because that's basically who I went through to, set it all up.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually watch movies if I want, and I can watch old movies, new movies. It doesn't make any difference, which I don't watch a lot of them, but every now and then there's a movie comes out, and I say, oh, I got to see that. And I watch it with no commercials,
How's the Roku work? Because we have a Sharp Roku TV. It's a Sharp, yeah. And I know Roku's on there because it's a Sharp Roku TV, but I didn't have any idea how that worked.
From my knowledge, it would be like the Amazon Prime. You would have to get a Roku stick, but I think with Amazon.com, they give you, I guess they call it a Fire Stick or something.
Okay.
It's different, but they all basically work the same way.
Yeah, I called them yesterday, and I called Dish yesterday. I said, the only thing I ever watch is the Hallmark Channel. I said, I would just like to be able to do that. And I said, I need to cut down my bill. I said, I'm paying, I think it was 36 something. Oh, well, they hemmed and hawed. They couldn't do that. And then I said, well, I have to consider canceling it. So then she brought it down to $30 a month for 6 months. It's going to do me a lot of good. So I said, okay, but I wanted to talk to like Melissa and Kevin because they're the gadget kids, they know everything about all this stuff.
Right.
So Melissa said, why don't you just go to the Fire Stick and Amazon Prime? So what I'll do is cancel that. That's $30 a month that I could be saving, and use for my business.
Yep.
I can put that into the business.
Yeah, and I think at least with mine, Roku cost me $12 a month. That's still better than $30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not going to per se get away from the cost part of it completely, but you can definitely bring it down. I mean, I don't mind spending $12 a month for Roku because that's the only thing I spend.
Yeah.
Because I did that to get the stick and then get the once I got it on there, then I got the YouTube channel. And if you're anything like me, I can watch what I want when I want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be scheduled with I got to be home at 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah, I don't do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's just, I actually believe that Dish and DirecTV and all those kind of providers are probably in the near future going to be gone. Or they're going to
I record the movies on Hallmark so I can watch them whenever I want. And because I'm up pretty late, I'm generally up till 12, 1 o'clock. And, I watch movies. And so I record everything. But so now that DVR is there, so that has to be returned. So, but that's another $7 a month. So, see, it's all money down the tubes.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be putting that towards my business. I don't need to be doing that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm kind of soft pedaling the business right now. I want it to be. I know Reverend Dave is against this, but I want it to be established. So when I talk to people, I'm telling them. I have a very, very high sense of telling people exactly what it is, and I feel like I'm fooling them when I say it's going to be great. It's not going to be great. It's going to be great, but I'll wait till it's great in February. But I'm talking to family and friends, and trying to make them see that, even at $1 a gift certificate, it's still something. It's better than nothing. And the dollar you didn't have yesterday,
Yeah. Well, I always try to tell people it's like anything else in life. It's like when it snows. I get out on the road, there's snow here, but not over here. It's always, quote unquote, a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
And I know with Amway, when I started Amway many, many thousands of years ago, the first 5 years for people in Amway was pretty rough.
Mm.
Especially.
My brother did very well with Amway. in its early days.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think it was the 5th or 6th years when they got sued, and said
yeah,
that multi-level marketing was illegal, and they went
yeah,
through the court system, and it got rough.
yeah. And then they came back in the late 90s, early 2000 as something else. It wasn't, I mean, it was Amway, but it was something called something else. And I got involved in that and did badly, didn't do well at all because people just didn't trust it. And it was really hard getting people aboard that. And we had some good leaders. That was a terrible shame. I forget what the heck they were calling it. And I was in one of the guys higher up lives in Waxhaw. That's where I was living at the time. And he has quite a mansion. And he used to have the meetings in his basement. And I mean, it was very inspiring, to see what Amway had done for him.
Yeah.
And it just didn't click. It just wouldn't work. And it was a shame because there were a lot of good leaders, put a lot of heart and soul into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I got to close this out. So
Okay.
in closing, I'm going to again say to everybody that this is the Magic 12. And the reason we call it the Magic 12 is because I believe that Jesus had 12 apostles for a reason. I think he was the example to show us that if we can get 12, and those 12 apostles or disciples will become apostles. And my definition of a person becoming a disciple to an apostle is once they become an apostle, they will be earning at least $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to the future. I'm always working towards the future. And I do it with the idea that there are going to be bumps in the road. And sometimes not everybody's going to be happy with what's going on. But it's like anything in life. The ones who stick with it are going to be the winners. And I also like to say, if you quit, then you automatically are a loser.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stick, then there's a high probability that you're automatically going to be a winner. And the winning part of it will all depend on what you put into it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close for now. Hope to see you on, let's see, this is Thursday, so the next time I'll be on will be Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
Okay,
So,
Rob.
So you have a great, great day, Sandy.
You too. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
God bless.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.